Having a team of writers that work well together can produce some great content. But if the teamwork isn't there, you end up with stories that feel disjointed and messy. You can't just stick different parts together and hope that your Frankenstein monster will pass as normal. You need to paint his skin a normal shade, hide the bolts sticking out of his neck, and teach him a few manners. Otherwise, people are going to notice his patchwork exterior. The same goes for your exquisite corpse. Sew the parts together seamlessly, or the audience is going to notice. Hello and welcome to my channel. Here I review new movies and television shows and try to release a new review every day from Monday to Friday. Today, I'm going over the film Sugar. It's written and directed by Vic Sarin and co-written by Ben Johnston and Annalise Cavan. It stars Catherine McNamara, Jasmine Skye Sarin, and Eric Bruneau. It's based on a true story, but boy oh boy is that story light on intrigue. The film's production quality is decent, but the acting is kind of wooden, and the story is disjointed, confusing, and boring. Catherine McNamara tries to carry the film, but strong as she is, even she can't carry 2 elephants and a trombone. The story follows Melanie, a normal Canadian girl who idolizes Instagram stars and internet celebrities in general. While waiting outside of a popular club, she sees local celeb Chloe arrive and head inside. After being rejected at the door, Melanie sneaks inside, and by coincidence, meets Chloe. Chloe takes a shine to Melanie and invites her on a cruise. At first, the cruise seems like a normal affair, but it soon becomes apparent to Melanie that something else is going on behind the scenes. What has Chloe gotten her caught up in? The story is long and uneventful, and the storytelling is disjointed and confusing. The film spends a long time on montages of people partying, of the cityscapes, and of Melanie and Chloe taking photos of themselves. The first 40 minutes of the film are all set up, and nothing exciting happens that entire time. After that, it ramps up a little bit, but can never seem to provide a coherent narrative. The characters jump around from one event to the next with little connection between them. The film introduces characters that it does nothing with, and spends time on characters that just randomly disappear and never appear on screen again. It never takes the time to flesh out the relationship between Melanie and Chloe, and it barely scratches the surface of its own characters. It rushes the story elements and wastes an hour on scenes that don't matter or didn't need to be that long. The story ends up feeling emotionally stunted, like it's being pulled in different directions at the same time. It wants to be a film about influencers, and it wants to be a crime film, but it never dedicates the time it needs to either. The production quality is fairly standard, with the fundamentals being well done. The camera work is smooth, but the film doesn't take any visual risks, and most of the shots are straightforward and simplistic. The soundtrack is the same way. There are 1 or 2 original songs, but the rest of the tracks are Hollywood boilerplate tracks. They tend to fit the scenery in a general sense, but never nail the emotional punch. The emotions are lacking across the film, and the music doesn't do much to elevate them. The cast is a little wooden. Not that I can blame them. There isn't much to work with in terms of the dialogue, and the story really never stops to flesh out its characters beyond the basics. Still, the majority of the cast seems like they're just reading lines. There's little to no emotion in their performances, and other than Catherine McNamara and Eric Bruneau, no one stands out. Catherine McNamara does her best and really jumps into the role of Chloe. She's disillusioned with the celebrity life and just wants to be normal. She carries herself with confidence and sells the influencer persona well. She also nails the emotional scenes toward the end of the film. If the character had been better written, I think this would have been a great performance. Eric Bruneau doesn't get much to do, but there's a scene about halfway through the film where he has to act afraid for his life. He does a wonderful job. I could really feel the fear and tension coming off of him. Sugar wants to be a crime drama that uses the high-energy life of influencers as an aesthetic. It fails to deliver a coherent story with interesting characters and conflicts that we want to see resolved. Its cast phones it in for the most part, and the few standouts like McNamara and Bruneau aren't making up the difference. The production quality is decent, but doesn't make up for the lackluster story and acting. 3 out of 10.